pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Today is Tuesday, April the 6th, 2022, 6 p.m. The meeting of the Water Board is called to order. At this time, please silence all your electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that's available on the table in the back of the room. Roll call, please, Donna.
Brian Knobbing.
Here.
Frank Massey.
Here.
Robin Meyer.
Here.
Tony Higginbotham.
Here.
Brian Maddox.
Here.
Well, we're all here tonight. Calling for approval of the minutes from the March 1st meeting. Everybody has the minutes distributed to them. Any corrections, changes need to be made? Mr. Massey?
No, sir, all
None
good.
from you? Anybody else? Whose minutes will stand approved? We have no old business on the agenda tonight. New business? Have anything for us, Rick?
I just have the employee recognition.
All right, let's hear it.
My employee this evening, he couldn't make it. His name's Scott Green. He's been employed with us for a little over 5 years. He's a water plant operator. Scott's been employed at the City of Greensburg Water Works since February 21st of 2017. Scott has been a water plant operator since joining the department and still holds that position at this time. Scott is currently in the process of obtaining his WT3 groundwater license and WT5 large surface water license to become a certified operator in the state of Indiana. Scott was born and raised here in Decatur County. He attended and graduated from North Decatur High School in 1993. Scott is married to his wife Ashley. You probably know Ashley, the ex-clerk treasurer, and they have a daughter Dahlia and their late son Nick.
Anything else to add?
I do not. That's it.
Okay. Well, send him our best, and we appreciate all he does, and we'll drop him a little card in the mail.
Sounds good. Thank
Very
you.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Darren, anything for us? Your time is growing short.
Yes, don't have a whole lot tonight to tell you about. We are working on the record drawing, some of the final documentations. I think I got the electrical markups today. I'm still waiting on INC. Plumbing, HVAC is done, and architectures, they're working on that. So hopefully I've kind of set by the end of this month to have those all wrapped up so we can get one complete record drawing set to you, or so you have that. We did get the pack up and running, at least one line running. We're kind of letting that run, make sure everything works okay before we switch the other one over, but hopefully here we'll get that done as well in the next month. And one last thing, I want to extend my thanks to Rick and the mayor. I brought down about 15 of my colleagues last week to tour the facility, so they spent the entire day here looking over, and we used it as an educational for some of them. This is the first time they got out to see a water plant. Unfortunately, I'm one of the old guys in our office now, so we've got a lot.
I hope you brought all youngsters.
We did bring most
Good
of
for
the
you.
youngsters, and actually they would like the water tank is one of the things they really like, so that was kind of cool to see that. So, but no, they appreciate it. I got several follow-up emails that thanking they had a real good day. So, thanks for the city being your hospitality for us. So, any other questions?
On your drawings, there are very many that I can't imagine you have too much.
No, it's a lot of he's stripping some things out and putting record drawings on it, and then just make sure you're coordinating. Some of the RFIs we had during construction to kind of clear things up, some of those notes we're adding, so that's a little more meaningful. Like the field ops building, we had to change how the framing of that wall went, so that's one of the bigger changes we had to make, and so overall there's not a lot of markup. So
Thank you.
yep. Thanks.
Thank you, Darren. The city is always very hospitable, right? That's right. All right. Ron May, you have something for us, Ron?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I actually have a couple things for you this evening. The first one being, as probably we're all aware, the county has been working on a new highway department to be located out on County Road 200 West at the south edge of the fairgrounds. And they have come to the city and asked for a commitment to provide water and also wastewater services to that site. They gave us a model commitment letter. We've modified it slightly. While we certainly have adequate water capacity in our treatment plant, the distribution system out there is not perfect. We have some 6-inch, I think, Rick, and some 4, and then to get on over to their site, the county on the fairgrounds has some 2-inch. Well, that may be adequate for their domestic water supply. They're looking at a need for a sprinkler system. They don't have that resolved yet. If they need the sprinkler system, we would work with them to get probably a full 10-inch line out to at least the corner of 200 West and Park Road. So that's a work in progress. But in the meantime, I have a letter here that explains what I just said, that you have capacity at the plant, not necessarily in the distribution system at the moment. If they do need the fire protection, that'll have to get worked through.
Okay.
So, with the board's approval, I've sent the letter up for Robin's signature. There's actually 2 copies there.
Ron, did they give you an idea of how much they need?
For domestic is a few restrooms really, maybe a wash bay, nothing
But
to
they haven't
speak of.
decided to put their fire, or fire protection?
They're working on a variance. Code requires fire protection.
They're trying to get variance on it?
They're trying to get a variance on it, and that's why we don't know if they'll need a bigger line.
How far is that from Park Road?
Mayor, do you remember how far south?
There's a couple different discussion points happening with that. The 2-inch line starts at the animal control animal shelter, and then beyond that, it turns in, from there on up the hill is a private distribution network that the county put in and other people have tapped onto. It's kind of a mess. The conversation with the county is, and part of what my update was going to be, we've been awarded the Park Road project, but that's a 2027 construction year. And so the discussion with the county is maybe they can upgrade that line from the animal shelter to the top of the hill with what would be final sized pipe even during the construction of Park Road for this. And then they would turn left and go maybe like 250 feet down with a 10-inch line on 200 West. That would allow us to then have publicly, City of Greensburg municipally water-owned pipe to access the airport should we ever deem that we want to tap into that for fire protection out there. I think their intention then is to go from that terminus on south with a private line that would serve their campus at whatever dimension they deem necessary, whether that be for the long run of fire or just domestic. But that's really not necessarily this board's problem at the moment, other than we would hold them accountable for any lines that they wish to turn over to the utility per our standards as they sit today, which are required to be at least an 8-inch, 10-inch,
10 inch for
Yeah.
industrial commercial.
10-inch minimum. And so we would encourage them from the animal shelter to the intersection of 200 West and 250 feet south to make that a 10-inch line.
Okay.
And beyond that, that would be their prerogative.
So good. Name of progress, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyone have any questions for Ron? No?
Someone asked how far south. Is it a quarter mile, half mile?
Maybe.
It goes basically to the south boundary of the fairgrounds is where they're wanting to put the new highway department.
I would say you probably need a motion to approve the commitment as presented by Ron and in the letter.
Very well. Anyone's here to make that motion? I'll make a motion. All right.
A motion on the floor. Do you have a second? Okay, you have a second. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Any opposed would say aye? No? Very well. We got it.
Okay,
Thank you. Keep us updated on that.
I will.
You want both of these signed?
Yes, please. That way when I lose one, I'll have to fall back to zero.
Better give Don
In
one.
fact, we'll turn one of them over to Donna for security. She's pretty good about keeping records. And I will give the other one to the county and their designer.
Very well. Anything else for us?
Yes.
You got something else?
A second topic here. So, I think we've talked in the past about Main Street. NDOT is working on actually two projects. One, starting at the railroad, well, their part actually starts at State Road 3 on Main Street. But the part that would involve the water utility is, starts at the railroad and goes east to just past Ireland Street, like maybe a half a block. Their other project starts at South Michigan and extends out to the library. We have both water and sanitary sewers in both of those pieces. Some concern has been expressed about the water line, particularly from West Street to the railroad. And also, their construction includes the installation of new storm sewers. So likely, the location of our water line, I think it's more than likely, I think there's gonna be conflict. So it's gonna be necessary to rebuild that. Their schedule is to let their two projects in January of '24. So spring, summer of '24, they would start construction. I think they told us the west end first, and then the following year they'd work on the other end of the project. I need to point out that that schedule is subject to change because they're still working on their environmental document and they have some right-of-way to acquire for the project. I don't think it would ever be any earlier than that. So, to address what you will need to do relative to the water line, I have asked Michael Baker International, who is NDOT's designer for the road project, to give us a proposal on the necessary utility engineering work. And I asked them because there is great simplicity if they do it all. If they are doing the storm sewer and our sanitary sewer and our water lines, they can coordinate all of those activities. And when you're doing that kind of design work, there are times when things start to move around a little bit. And if they're doing everything, they are in a position to make sure all of that gets coordinated. Also, I'm recommending to you that the work be performed by NDOT's contractor when they're rebuilding the road itself. There is economy in that. There are certain activities like maintenance of traffic, which seems like kind of a minor thing, but it's a very expensive thing to do, all the signs and barricades and flaggers and all of that. And also the restoration work, the repaving of the street and all that is not paid for directly by the utility work, but it's included as part of the road work. So there's economy in having that all done, and simplicity if the same contractor does everything. You see before you projected design fees for that work, and please don't be too confused. The wastewater and water are both on this, so for your clarity, look at the water design cost. NDOT may or may not reimburse these costs. I am pretty optimistic about the East project that they will pay not only for the design, but also for the construction. But it's not a done deal yet. It's something we're trying to work through. The west end, I'm not as optimistic about. I continue to look at that. I continue to talk with NDOT and try and see a way to explain to them why they need to pay for this. We were successful 2 or 3 years ago when NDOT replaced the small structure on Main Street just east of Lincoln. They paid for that water line relocation cost there. I have a strong desire to see them pay for this on the west end as well, but that's a work in progress. I just bring this to you. You need not take any action on this tonight. Hopefully, so construction is starting in 24. You know, it sounds like a couple of years, but it is very surprising how quickly that time goes by. So it's something we need to be thinking about and getting organized for and getting out of the way. And I certainly have no authority to do anything here. It's up to you all. And if you would give me guidance on what you want accomplished, I will work to achieve that. But I wanted you to be aware this is a notable expense, depending on if you all have to pay for it or if the state will take care of it. So it's something worthy of planning for. Josh, do you plan to talk a little bit more about Park Road? Or we've already mentioned Park Road and some utility improvements down there. At the moment, we're thinking that will happen in 26 or 27, 4 to 5 years out. But again, if it can be a major expense, and I like to keep all of these things on my radar so we can see what's coming down the pike. Questions?
Michael Baker, is that, you said that's who the state's using?
They're doing the design
work for that.
on Main Street. They're doing the whole road design, also the stormwater design. And stormwater and gravity sewers don't move around really easily. Water a little more easily, but it's still piping in the ground. And there is value in one person looking at all of those at the same time. They've been good to work with thus far. They've been good to keep us informed of what's going on, even though they don't work for us.
But when will you be back to us to give us more information, keep us up on the timeline?
When I know better how NDOT's gonna treat us, I think. If we can get NDOT to take as much of this as they will, then I care a little bit less, because it's not our money. But I think right now, as I said, I'm pretty optimistic about the east end, that they will take care of that. Some of you may not know, Main Street east of Lincoln Street was not a state highway until sometime after 1941. And our water utility is much older than that. So that's the reason. So what they look at is property interest. If we put that water line in when it was our road, then they will pay us. If we put it in when it was a state highway, maybe not. And the other thing I'll mention, they have a term they call betterment. Even if they will pay to relocate a utility, if we want to upsize something, they will pay for the relocation of the size that's there now. But if we want to upsize any facility, the additional cost would still be on us.
Any more questions?
I would say, I would note for you guys, I know you're not taking any action tonight, but because Michael Baker International would fall under the category of professional services, I don't think there's any requirement or necessity to put it out to, public request for bid or anything like that. I think you can choose to engage whichever professional services you would like to engage.
And in fact, because of federal funding, it would be a quality-based selection, not a bid.
Yes, agreed.
So, I had a discussion with the area utility engineer a while back, and he even mentioned, I don't know about this for sure, mentioned that if NDOT thinks it's theirs, they might just contract on our behalf with Michael Baker to do this work and just pay for it. We never even have to pass the money through. So we'll keep working that and see what we can get.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping us posted. Good to see progress. All right. Get our monthly report of operations. Any comments on that, Rick? Anything?
I'm just here to answer questions.
Rick, you don't have anything to tell us tonight? Anything to say? Anything to bring forth?
I don't even wanna spend any money.
Well, that's a good thing. Why don't you take the podium then?
I don't have any, you got any questions for me on the MRO?
How's your truck running?
It's still running.
We went out and started it up last month just to make sure it was good.
Huh?
I drove around the block twice.
That's okay. It should
You
be
wanna try it a
alright.
third
No,
time?
didn't shit.
I have not made any moves on the vehicle yet, so maybe next month I'll have something. It's actually been running pretty good, so.
Do I have anything for Rick?
You know, you just jinxed yourself.
That's right, Rick. You just jinxed yourself. All right. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
He does not. Anyone else have anything they'd like to bring forth? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting.